Hi everybody, I'm Zach, and I like movies, and I'm here to talk to you about The Phoenician Scheme. This is the latest film from director Wes Anderson, a guy who, by now, even the man himself knows he is a film genre in and of himself. Easily identifiable through his hyper-specific, symmetrically framed dollhouse aesthetics, a lover of very little peculiarities that are so specifically referenced, so specifically touched up that it borders on obsessive, and still a director that really knows how to bring together an absolutely stellar cast and again whose style is with a style that really just kind of again speaks for himself. You say Wes Anderson. And you kind of at least have an idea of what to expect with that. And it's a style that in recent years has been called under fire for accusations of redundancy. Really, and especially since his commercial and critical absolute high watermark with the Grand Budapest Hotel back in 2014, really each pass at feature films Wes Anderson has done has really just kind of been upping the ante of making things progressively more and more Wes Andersonian, if you know what I mean. Especially his more recent works at the big screen with the French Dispatch of the Liberty Kansas Evening Sun and Asteroid City, two films that are following in the footsteps of Grand Budapest Hotel's Matryoshka doll, story within story within story structures, and even getting more abstract with some of the theming and the ideas at play, and which at points can absolutely reach some beautiful and breathtaking and even stunning moments of visual beauty and thematic brilliance, but at the same time tends to feel kind of cold and mechanical. There's definitely a feeling that maybe he does kind of get lost in his own artifice, which was certainly something that early reviews of Phoenician Scheme have been saying. But for my money, every time I feel that Wes is sort of losing himself into his own style, he always finds a way to prove me wrong. And I think the Phoenician Scheme is kind of another winner. This is a real fun delight. Right? But I will say this is definitely. But I will say, as much like with French Dispatch and Asteroid City, and even I would say his more accessible work with his like Henry Sugar Road Doll shorts that he did for Netflix a minute ago. His style is really not concerned for newcomers. If you are either into what he is doing and how he is doing it, or you are not. But for my money, I think the Phoenician Scheme is he's still got it. I think he's yet to really disappoint me. But this time around, he's traded out his more recent trend of meta-narrative storytelling with which kind of a throwback to a more classic Wes Andersonian romp of fractured parent-child relationships. And this time it is focusing on one Zsa Corda, who is played brilliantly by a more recent newcomer to Wes Anderson's troupe of actors. He Benicio del Toro, playing a real marvelously eccentric, almost a self-deludedly confident man who was an international businessman who is constantly under threat of multiple assassination attempts that he doesn't survive so far. That he's able to survive, I should say. And this time, after a recent one where he was playing after he survives a particularly nasty plane crash, he looks to bring in an estranged daughter into his family affairs, played by Mia. It was Lysol, played by Mia Threapleton, who is a woman of the cloth, looking to take her vows at the end of the month. But he wants her as his sole heir. Outside of his 10 sons, he trusts his one daughter, who might not be his actual daughter? ? And he ropes her into the titular Phoenician scheme, his 30-year-long plan to really cement his legacy with the of international geopolitical and market manipulation and construction across this sort of vaguely Middle Eastern setting that leads him to interacting with a lot of investors and potential potential partners, business partners, all played by various cadres of the troupe of Wes Anderson's theater. There is there's with Bryan Cranston and Tom Hanks getting into a basketball match with Del Toro and Riz Ahmed. There's also Scarlett Johansson. There's Matthew Almeric. There's a wonderful sight of Richard Ayoade, who's always great to see him. But amongst that is questions. But along for the ride is entomologist and a Swedish tutor Björn, played by Michael Cera, who, honest to God, cannot believe it took Wes this long to bring in Michael Cera for one of these. It's like he was made in a lab specifically for a Wes Anderson movie. But even so, but it's also interesting which actors are absent here. There is not one Jason Schwartzman. There is not a Adrian Brody or a Frances McDormand, not even one of the Wilson brothers in sight, which is interesting, to be honest. But I will say this, on top of the casting, this has maybe my absolute favorite use of Bill Murray in any Wes Anderson movie, barring Steve Zissou. Frank, I don't want to spoil what he does, what role he plays here, but it's a good one, and it's a big one. Speaking of Steve Zissou, this story is actually kind of the inverse of Zissou, where we have the eccentric man, again the eccentric confident male lead, trying to rekindle a connection with their sort of estranged child, which is. And in this way, Corda is basically Steve Zissou by way of a sort of Howard Hughes inspired businessman, instead of being inspired by a Jacques Cousteau like documentary conservationist, and it leads to a lot of a sardine can tight plot of spycraft and again, a lot of interesting geopolitical projection. There's really fun schemes and arguments between other cast members. Between a lot of again, this entire thing is stacked. The cast is stacked to the nines. And like with usual, it's like there is a absolute scene stealer performance from Jeffrey Wright, and there's an interesting in between all of this. There's questions of spiritual atonement between how Threapleton's character brings in questions of God and religious atonement, and whether or not Cordo believes in such a thing, or if he even wants it, or if he feels like he's deserving of it. Because he's done bad and quite a lot of questionable things, flat out evil things with his plans to cement this entire legacy that he has built for himself. And it gives and there is and while I would say this is more conceptually less this is less conceptually ambitious from say Asteroid City, it is still densely packed with a lot of more interesting, with more unique ideas than for Wes Anderson's usual bag of tricks. I think, which I think is kind of what really what still like got me into what still kept me into it. Because of those like early reviews that were kind of mixed. I think that's why I'm a little more on the positive side of things with it. Because like the fun like spiritual spheres it circles into, the industrial espionage, spy stuff is really fun. It's also probably the funniest movie he's made, at least since like I would say at least since Grand Budapest. This is consistently funny, mostly from Michael Cera. His delivery is again, it's perfectly made for Wes's acting style, and man, probably my favorite bit here was where it incorporates the bad boy Michael Cera angle, which was really funny. And I would say the emotional, it felt both warmer and colder than his more recent stuff, but when this movie's really when it was really chugging on all, as all sparks are flying, all the cylinders are running at full speed, it still works. Every time I think I'm gonna get bored, I never do. I'm still really in the playbook, which like he's still like the way that he's been able to sort of like perfect what type of movie he's making, and how intricate and hyper specific it's made. He's made the ways that he's done it, in all of its artifice and all of its, again, it's like sort of like dollhouse way, even the way the sort of like doll-like ways and deadpan and the deadpan ways that his actors perform these roles. It never feels tired to me. I still feel really drawn to it. I'm still enchanted by it. And while I wouldn't say this is, I think this is a little more than run-of-the-mill Wes Anderson, it's still good. It's still good. And even if you aren't like fully captivated by it, even if you are kind of like, tired of his old bag of tricks, the craft on display is still much better than what you usually get. And I think for the craft alone, I can't deny, like, it's like what we have on screen is just beautiful. The production design is beautiful. Steve Yeoman's cinematography is delightful. It still works for me. I'm man, walking out of this, I kept thinking, man, why am I not still watching Wes Anderson movies all the time? I'm really due for an entire like filmography rewatch. Like, well, speaking of that rewatch, you might have an easy time of doing that, because the Criterion Collection announced a big box of Wes Anderson movies that are set to come out I think it's in July. It's pretty soon. And wow, I gotta get my hands on that piece. It is his first 10 features, from Bottle Rocket to The French Dispatch, and they actually did the full title for The French Dispatch, which was very appreciated. But yeah, I think I would recommend the Phoenician Scheme. Its strengths far outweigh any weaknesses. I think it's a little clumsy here and there with connecting with all that it's getting its arms around. But yeah, even a more middle of the road Wes Anderson is still a pretty good movie, and I'm feeling a pretty solid 7 out of 10 for this. And yeah, I don't think it moves by pretty fast. You're never really wasting your money when you go out to see Wes Anderson, as far as I'm concerned. And I think that'll be it. This is man, it's good. It's always good to go out. It's always good to know that even in like today's age, there's still like an audience for auteurs. Well, there's a I get between, again, Wes Anderson is kind of his own film genre, and there's still excitement for it. This plays really good with a crowd out constantly, even if you might wind up a little confused by like what does it all mean, but still fun to watch. All the same. And I think I've rambled on enough. I'm Zach. I like movies. I like Wes Anderson movies. What did you think of the Phoenician Scheme? Were you impressed? Did you think this was any good? But yeah, I got a lot more movies to watch, and I will see you to the next one. I hope you all keep watching movies, because movies are life, and life is worth living. And you'll take care, and you stay safe out there.